I don't support reform for a number of reasons. Number one, I think they're going to wreck the economy. Number two, I don't like their stances on immigration. Number three, some other things like I don't like that they want to get rid of HS2. I think that they're all corrupt.
You think HS2 has been a benefit?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's been a benefit. I just think that cancelling it now is a waste of time, considering most of the civil infrastructure is already there. If you do cancel it, you're pretty much going to be left with infrastructure all over the place, and then
How
nothing.
much does that cost? How much money is that wasted already?
I'm fully aware it's costed a lot of money, but the Elizabeth line also went over budget and took 5 more years than predicted, and it's now bringing in more money than it actually costed them to build it. So there are benefits. Which the thing is, if this was like 10% through construction, I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's get rid of it. But because it's going to be basically by the time they get into government, it'll be at least 60% done. I'm thinking like you may as well just finish it and take the economic benefits from it instead of just cancelling it. And all the investments have already been put into it, so you're actually not losing any more money. It's already there.
Okay, on immigration, I assume if you don't like their stance on immigration, I assume you want more immigration, or you think it's a benefit.
Well, I think immigration is a benefit, but I also think that like punishing every single migrant for the actions of a very few migrants is not very fair at all.
Well, it wouldn't be punishing it would be punishing all the migrants who have committed an offence, which is coming here illegally.
Well, not really, because with the removing ILR, because they claim that some of the people on ILR are cheating the system. That's pointless. You may as well just get rid of the people who are cheating the system instead of removing ILR and social housing for every single migrant and removing welfare benefits. For example, someone's been here because it takes, I think with the new government restrictions, it's between 5 and 10 years from which you can actually claim ILR or settled status. If you have come to the UK, you've worked a job for 7 or 8 years and then you lose it, and that job is a low-paying job, and you need some benefits to keep you up and whilst you're finding your next job. Bearing in mind you've already paid into that pot for 7 or 8 years, I think you should be able to claim it regardless of your citizenship. Citizenship is also slightly expensive to get. It takes a while.
That's a very small proportion of people.
Exactly. So why are we punishing the entire migrant population for the actions of a very small people?
Okay, but you don't base policies based on the minority. You base policies based on the majority of people, and the majority of people who are claiming welfare and who aren't citizens of our country are a net negative.
That's not true at all. There's about 17% of migrants are actually claiming universal credit in the UK, and in which half of them are actually working and claiming UC at the same time because their wages are so low.
Okay, but the majority of them are net negative. That's what I'm trying to say.
The majority of migrants in the UK are net negative contributors.
Yeah, they are.
So you're saying that there's more migrants that are net negative contributors than there are actually on welfare. There are people in total on welfare, especially unemployment welfare.
That's the same thing though. If they're on welfare, they are net negative, right?
I've just said that about 17% of all migrants in the UK are claiming universal credit, and half of them.
Okay, but universal credit is only one of the welfare benefits.
Also, do you not think that people should be able to have welfare regardless of where they come from?
Well, it depends on where they're coming from. If they're coming from an actual war-torn country, then there's a debate for it.
Hang on, no,
if they're coming from a country,
question. I'm talking about legal migrants as well.
If they're working and they've been in a positive previously, then they should be able to claim welfare. But if they've not previously benefited our country, then they shouldn't be taking anything from it.
Reform, then?
Because reform, well, mainly on deportations, deporting illegal migrants.
I've just said their policy is to remove welfare benefits from every foreign national that's in the UK, regardless of.
Okay, but I'm talking about illegal migrants.
But that's not their policy. Their policy is legal migrants.
Well, one of their policies is also deporting illegal migrants, right?
Yeah, but I'm asking you about this specific policy. We can talk about that afterwards.
Okay, removing ILR.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously I'm not going to agree with all of a party's policies. You never do you?
Okay. It sounds like you're just conceding right now.
No, I'm not going to concede that point, because I do also believe that the majority of them, the people who they are removing from ILR, they're not like contributing heavily to our economy anyway.
But I told you,
it's not like they're going to be a big loss to us.
It's 17% was not a majority the last time I checked. And this is people who claim ILR are also all legal migrants, by the way. Once you claim asylum, you're a legal migrant. But that's besides the point. My point is that in terms of people with ILR and settled status, only 17% are on welfare benefits. And that's from the only or the most official statistics you can get. I mean, if Nigel Farage wants to tell you some different statistics, then sure, believe that. But in terms of official ones, it's
Where are those?
17%.
Well, I would talk about. We can talk about something else about how you said they're going to be bad for the economy.
Yeah.
What
So
would
the
be your
Economist
point for that?
predicted based on their 2024 general election manifesto. And before you say that's probably not it's not an actual manifesto, it was like a contract. These are the only policies I can really go off because they haven't really announced any economic ones since then. So they actually predicted that in 2024 the general election manifesto was going to cost the UK £100 billion. And we all know what happens when you have £100 billion deficit when it comes to borrowing. It means inflation is going to go up, your mortgage is going to go through the roof, house prices are going to increase, and so on and so forth. Plus, you think you're going to get GDP growth from having to spend 100 billion more than you're taking in. I don't think you've ever studied economics, so that's why
Well,
I
I
think
think Reform are probably the only serious party who are considering cutting welfare in this country, which is probably the biggest issue in terms of the budget.
yeah, the pensions scheme is through the roof. Reform haven't said anything about that.
I mean, yeah, I agree that pensions should be cut as well, which is why I also look towards Restore, because Restore are looking to cut the triple lock and cut a lot of money into pensions, and we also need to dig into that. But welfare is probably the biggest drain, and Reform and Restore are the only parties that are
Well,
accounting for that.
Labour
Haven't cut
welfare
welfare benefits. We're spending about 335 billion per year on welfare. Reform's plan to cut all foreigners from claiming benefits, that will save about 15 billion. Removing all foreign nationals from prisons will save about also 10-15 billion. So just these little things.
Can I ask you just a random question? You might not be,
Okay.
but you may be. Are you religious?
I'm not religious. No, I'm agnostic.
Do you believe in justice?
Yeah.
So, if you are to deport a foreign national from a prison back to their country, and they don't go to prison in their country because their country is either corrupt, it's not in a good place, and maybe they just don't really care so much about their justice system, do you think that's doing justice to the victims of whatever crime they've committed?
Well, the victim won't have to deal with it because they're not going to be in our country.
But that's besides the point. The victim wants to see them punished, no?
But their punishment is deportation, no?
With deportation, so they can go live freely? I'd argue staying in a prison here is worse off than being deported.
But we can't afford them to stay in our prisons anymore.
What do you mean? If the Tories have built prisons in the last 20 years, we could have housed them.
We don't have space in prisons.
But the Tories that are also in Reform's party right now, by the way.
Well, no, there's only about a few Tory MPs who've joined our party, and they were the Tory MPs who were actually outspoken. Like Robert Jenrick, he left office while in the Tory party because they refused to cut immigration. Suella Braverman also resigned from office.
Yeah, but both which
Danny
sort of
Kruger
levels of
also.
immigration.
Danny Kruger was also outspoken against the Tory party. All of them, they're not.
It's funny how they
career
claim to be
MPs.
outspoken the second they leave the party, right? It's funny how they suddenly leave and they claim, "Oh, I was outspoken," but when they were in power,
before the general
election.
election.
What'd you say?
Yeah, this guy who said Robert Jenrick started the hotel scheme and was proud of it. That's not true, first of all. He continued the hotel scheme and he didn't have a choice about it.
Really?
He didn't have a choice
Immigration
to... I personally don't agree with the appointment of Jenrick in our party, to be fair, but I would say that I don't think he had the full power to stop the hotel scheme. I don't think that lies with him. That lied with him.
The only person above the immigration minister is the Home Secretary, who is also Suella Braverman.
Yeah, the Home Secretary, who probably has... No, but the Home Secretary wasn't Suella Braverman during that time.
Yeah, they were. I'm pretty sure they were Home Secretary and Immigration Minister during the Boris.
I think Suella Braverman was Home Secretary after Robert Jenrick was Immigration Minister.
Okay, so why didn't Suella Braverman end it?
Well, Suella Braverman presented cuts to immigration, and she got told by top people in the Tory party that she needs to be less outspoken on immigration, and that's why she left.
2 years afterwards.
But what's she supposed to do when she's in the party?
Leave
She
it?
obviously can't say that while in the party. She did leave.
She could leave the party. That's pretty much what all the Labour MPs do. Look at Zara Sultana. She left the party immediately after she was suspended.
Well, Sultana's a communist. It's a bit different.
It's the most pathetic argument I've ever heard. So the two most important people dealing with immigration didn't stop the hotel scheme and didn't reduce it, and then now both in reform. I mean, if we want to talk about credibility,
Look, I trust Nigel, and I don't think he
do
would have
you?
employed them if
What
he
makes you
didn't
trust
think.
Nigel?
I trust his word. I think that he is.
You trust his word. So when he said that Brexit was going to make us better, you agree with that, and you still
He
trust him?
it wasn't his Brexit. He wasn't in power, and he didn't get the Brexit that he proposed. He
Which is
didn't
what?
deliver the
What was
Brexit.
his Brexit?
Well, he wasn't the prime minister, so
What was his Brexit? Surely he would have. He was
well, okay,
campaigning
I
for
can
it.
give you examples. They left us in the ECHR, which he was campaigning to leave, and there's other stuff. He eventually had to go with a Brexit no deal, but that was only because he needed to get Brexit done. That wasn't because he wanted it originally, but it's because May and Cameron
You're
they
talking about
was
Boris Johnson now, right?
well, under Boris Johnson, he proposed a no deal, which obviously he didn't really want to happen, but he just wanted to get Brexit done, didn't he? Everyone did.
Right. So you've told me one thing about Nigel Farage Brexit, which everyone claims that was if Nigel Farage had been the perfect Brexit. So
It
let's talk
wouldn't have
about
been
the
the perfect
ECHR then.
Brexit, but the
Let's talk
EU
about the
wasn't
ECHR.
benefiting us.
Who do you think doesn't deserve rights in this country?
Who do I think doesn't deserve rights? Anyone who's not here legally.
They don't deserve human rights.
It depends what you mean. What's a human right?
Another question is that things that people should have to allow them to survive in a country. For example, the right to be to not be tortured, the right to not be, sent to a country where they're going to be killed, the right for food, water, and shelter, all of that crap. What
Well,
rights?
I think it's debatable whether if they've come to a country illegally, whether they deserve any rights.
What? Why? They're humans, no?
But they've come to your country illegally, so they have to abide
Well,
by your laws.
It's not illegal to claim asylum, and you can't claim asylum from outside of the UK. So they have to come to this country. Especially
Many of them
countries
are.
where you can't come from
But
legally.
well, I would say that, yeah, if you come here illegally, obviously a lot of them are going to say, "Oh, we're claiming asylum," but that's only because they know that's a route for them into the country and to get on ILR and to get protected. Obviously, anyone who comes illegally is going to say that they're claiming asylum without meaning it in full detail, like without actually needing asylum.
Have you ever been to any of these countries that these people are coming from? Have you ever been to Sudan? Have you ever been to Somalia? Have you ever been to Afghanistan?
I don't believe we should be taking people from these countries anyway.
That's not my question.
I don't pay attention to their country. I care about Britain.
So you don't think Britain should be a humanitarian country? Also, as a side point,
I think the
if we-
British
if we-
government should exist to benefit the British people.
Okay, who are the British people in your opinion?
The people who are ethnically British and who have been born in Britain.
Well, British is a nationality, isn't it?
As
So
I
that
said,
means-
ethnically British.
You can't be ethnically British. If ethnically British, anyone from Europe technically is British because we're a mixture of Germans, Scandinavians, and people from Denmark. British
Okay,
is a
even what I
nationality.
said, people who are born in Britain.
Well, I would also consider people British to be people who have any citizenship of being British.
So you think Axel Rudikobana was British?
Yes, he was. He would be British under your view as well because he was born here.
Well, his dad actually, interestingly, his dad came from Rwanda with his mother, and his dad fought in the civil war in Rwanda. Very
Well, that's
evil
fantastic,
man.
but he was born here, so under your worldview, he would be British.
I think I could consider him British, but I wouldn't say he's a British person personally.
Would you consider Jimmy Savile British?
Anyone can point out some evil individuals from a country. It doesn't mean that they represent people of the
You
country.
literally just did that and tried to tell me he wasn't British.
Okay, what my main point was, we don't need to be taking people from countries like Sudan, like Somalia, like Afghanistan, because they don't benefit our country. And our country, our
Were we
government should exist to
benefiting the
benefit our
Afghanis
people.
when we spent 20 years bombing them?
We didn't bomb Pakistan. We didn't bomb Somalia. We didn't bomb
You say we
Somalia.
bombed Pakistan. We destabilised the majority of the Middle East, which is where all these people are coming from. Right now, we've got a lot of Iranians come over because we're helping the USA for absolutely no reason bomb Iran. It's a lot of our doing, and also I think we should do the humanitarian thing to people who are coming from these war-torn countries. And also, if we weren't doing this, if we weren't accepting any of these people, how do you think our international relations would go? We need trade deals. We need global diplomacy to actually survive in this world. I
But
know
we
that
have
you
trade
guys say,
deals with
"Oh,
the US. We
globalism's
have trade deals
trumps."
with Israel. We have trade deals.
We
We
have
have.
trade deals with Israel. You think Israel is a better trading partner than the European Union?
Well, I think there's a debate to be had there, but
Sorry. So you think that Israel is being able to produce the exact same amount of stuff and the quantity of goods that the EU is producing?
the EU is also like not benefiting us. For example, Hungary, who are in the EU, they have to pay
Yeah.
a £1 million fine every single day for not taking in migrants.
Yep, that would be this. Yeah, exactly. So how do you think that's going to work for us? I know we're not in the EU, but we'll still be imposed with some sanctions.
Exactly. The EU, all they do is sanction,
See,
fine.
you're missing the point. I'm saying we're going to ruin our international relations
We have fine international relations. We have a fine economy.
because we're accepting asylum seekers. For one point. So my point is, if you started deporting everyone and not accepting anymore, not only would it be a horrible thing to do to those people who genuinely need our help, and also it would be terrible for our international relations.
We would still have international relations with our biggest trading partner, which is the US.
I'll be honest with you. I think we should be. That's another debate, but I think we should be a lot closer with Europe than we are with the USA. The USA is so unpredictable, and the fact that we're getting slapped with tariffs every week doesn't help our economy.
The EU is
But
unpredictable.
how is the EU unpredictable?
The EU has been letting in migrants who is
How does that make the
overpopulated.
trade deal with the EU unpredictable?
Well, the EU are very left wing.
What's that
The
got to do
E
with anything? The America's very right wing and they're unpredictable.
I think that the EU is very pro welfare, very pro migrant. I don't think we should be as close to them as we are.
I think the EU wants what's best for Europe, and considering that should be part of Europe, we're on the continent.
Okay, I'm going to quote you. You said the EU should be what's best for Europe.
Yep.
So the people of Europe are the European people, correct?
Yeah, anyone who's a citizen of a European country or lives in a European country
That's not how it
is a
works.
member of
So
Europe.
you think if someone from Somalia become claim asylum and become a citizen of the UK, they're from the UK.
They're a citizen of the UK, yeah. If they get a citizenship,
They're a
yeah,
UK national.
then they're British.
No, they're not.
Well, their passport will say they're British, and that's the most official document you can have.
It's, but that's not how it should work. Everyone knows that they're not British.
I consider them British by nationality, considering they have a citizenship from the country. You can't really tell them that they're not British when they literally have a document saying that they are British, an official document.
Do you think that we are in trouble in the UK of being replaced as white people?
No. And frankly, I'm really not that bothered about it.
If you're not bothered about it, then you would be okay with us being replaced, right?
Okay, let me ask you a separate question. I mean, I'm not to answer that question. I'm not really concerned about the demographic makeup of the UK, if I'm going to be completely honest. But you're concerned about the white British people being replaced in the UK, right?
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, have you ever got a girlfriend?
I have,
Yep. Why haven't you had 3 kids then?
because I'm a student.
And you're concerned about the demographic makeup of the UK. If you were that concerned, surely you'd already have 3 kids by now because you're white and British.
Well, no, I will in the future. I'm looking to have kids in the future, of course.
Why haven't you had them now? Because you can't speak about being concerned about it if you haven't had kids yet, and you're legally able to.
Well, no, because that's different. That's an economic situation. That's different.
Great, let's talk about the economy. You want to support reform. They're going to cost the economy £100 billion. How's that going to help you have kids?
That's from the 2024 election. How do you know that their manifesto
Which other
hasn't
manifesto
changed?
can I go off of? Their deportation policy is going to cost the UK £50 billion. How do you think you're going to pay for that? With
Their
tax?
deportation policy won't cost. No, their deportation won't cost that much. Okay.
For every person that Trump has deported from the USA since he's come into office has costed on average $3,500, which translates to like £3,000.
That's not true.
Who's paying for the flights? Who's paying for the jet fuel? Who's paying for the accommodation for them until they get to the flight?
You would rather be less off economically and be safer in your country. Do you not agree?
I think that economic security comes with being safe in a country. Therefore, if we have a worse economy, we're going to be less safe in general. We're not going to be able to fund police. We're not going to be able to fund our MI5. We're not going to be able to fund public services.
But these people who are coming in, make us less safe. Every sexual offence that a British person commits per capita in the UK, an Afghanistan man commits 22.
The issue is I have with that is that if you're going to say like, oh, these people, we can't allow these people in because they might commit a crime. If for example, after England win a World Cup match, we all know the statistic: domestic abuse cases if they lose a match goes up by 40% in the UK by white British men. Would I suddenly stop going outside with a girl because they might get assaulted by a man? No, I wouldn't. So the mentality of these people.
I think that's a fabricated statistic.
How is that? How is you're gonna tell me that you don't think people, when England lose a match, are gonna, when there's literally reports of
I don't know how true that
cases
is.
in the NHS going up?
I don't know
You
if I
think that's
believe that.
fabricated? So any statistic of a British man doing something bad is a fabricated statistic. If it doesn't,
I'm just
suit
saying
your
I don't know if I believe it.
It's official NHS statistics. Something that Reform have actually quoted. Sarah Potchin of guys keep winning games literally said domestic abuse goes up when England lose a match.
But that's not just attributed to British men. That could be based on a number of things, on like how the woman is acting. And
So you think it's okay for a man to hit a woman because of how the woman is acting?
I'm just saying there's context behind it.
Also, you just ignore the entire problem when you say, "Oh, let's just get rid of migrants because they might assault a woman." You actually don't.
I
even
understand this.
address the issue of abuse towards women. Surely you'd want to get rid of it for everyone, right? So if okay, I'll quote Jimmy Savile again. Jimmy Savile was doing some rather interesting things with children. Does that make every white British person a potential threat to children?
No, but what we can't do is deport British people, because you can't deport them anywhere, right? White British men, you can't deport them anywhere because they're from our country.
You can. If Restore get into power, they're going to start getting rid of people who are born here. You can't really deport them anywhere, can you?
Well, you can look at where they're ethnically from.
That's stupid. How many generations back are we going to go? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do disagree with Restore on that. I do think Restore are too extreme in terms of their immigration policy. However, I would say that there's not much you can do about white British people committing crimes, because you don't really have anyone.
Stop the people in the areas which commit the most crimes from having kids. That's not what I think. I'm just saying, if we're going to use that logic, that's a solution. Therefore, there's the risk. It reduces the chance of you having a child. Of that child growing up and becoming a paedophile.
That's not the same logic.
It's literally the same logic. You're preventing a potential event from happening, which you can't guarantee is going to happen. You're just assuming that because you think someone from that particular demographic is going to do that action. Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, cheers.